Trying to look how you get to hear me because it's yes, my goodness. Whoo! Finally it works. This is when a psychologist tries to figure out like how do I from now I see myself 2 times. I need to get one of these pictures. Thank you, people, for your patience. We managed to get it working. All right, so we need to start from the beginning. If you haven't been able to hear me from wonderful. I see myself two times, but I don't care. I'll go back to this one. All right. What I was saying before knowing that there is a issue with the audio was about the conflict avoidance and what's the pain of it. And here we go. Leaders who avoid conflicts for me are low performing leaders. They let it pass and believe that's the best way to lead conflicts, almost like leading children in villages. But we know what happens when that happens. Those conflicts fester and rumors grow. So that's the pain. That behavior of avoiding conflicts is definitely one part of the conflict avoidance. Another one is where they are unskillfully interfering, not doing a really smart intervention, but unskillfully interfering to the what is it called? To the there you go. I now removed myself. Is that you can still hear me? I hope. Yes, you should be hearing me. So so they interfere versus intervene skillfully. And over reliance on policies and processes. How many times have I heard these leaders then rely on and say because of the policies we can't do this, or because of a process we can't do that, instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to have this difficult conversation with you instead, and just deal with it. And then you have the fake consensus and positivity, which means you are somebody who says, well, you know what, let's agree to disagree. The worst thing a leader can say, because it's basically saying, let's put all what we have, all emotions, all issues under the carpet and just like pretend it's not there. Or then leaders who kind of go with this hyper positivity and pretend, oh well, let's all be happy we have a job here, and all is well, and look at the bright side. So that's the kind of the pain of conflict avoidance. And here, what I was earlier already referring to are the root causes of it, or the potential root causes of conflict avoidance. So one of them is fear of rejection, people pleasing, and avoiding decisions. This can come from rather deep sources. This kind of a level of people pleasing. And then another one is fear of confrontation. So this is where conflict is understood as something hostile. So people who have perhaps lived in an environment that is low in communication or high in conflict might be fearing that, I'd rather avoid confrontations because I've learned maybe very, very far in my past that this is not a good thing and it's hostile. And the last one is low self-awareness and low low emotional intelligence. So how do you understand your own emotions and your own how you regulate your own emotions as well? If you can't do that well, you're not going to be able to understand the emotions of a team. Right. Then we have the cost. So what does that cost? A lot of leaders don't see the cost of their conflict avoidance. But there's a huge one. As I said, for me, a low it's a low performance from a leader if they avoid conflicts, because it hits backfires massively. It's their innovation, their competitive edge that they lose because people don't speak up. People choose to shut up instead. It's there's a weak accountability and strong mediocrity, where people say, you know what, just keep your head down, and let's not address the issues that are there. Increased and bloated operational cost. Where could that come from? Well, if we are hiding a lot of these problems and we are not tackling them head on, and our energy goes into moaning on the coffee machine, yeah, we have an issue, and we are paying in our operational cost from it. So leaders who avoid tackling these conflicts end up paying it in their operational cost, because a lot of time and money is gone into wrong type of topics. And last one is culture decay and talent turnover. Your best talent is not gonna hang around for a long time. Your worst talent will. So the toxic high performers, that's perfect for them, because they'll be like, wow, this is a playground, a dream playground for me, because you know what, I can do what I want, and my leaders won't tackle the conflicts that I create. So there you go. Those are my my personal view as well on what's the cost, what's the true and not so silent damage of um, conflict avoidance. Today we will be running over time because I lost time with the audio issues. So apologies already on in advance for that. So what the change needs to happen? I'm going to share with you today 5 conflict styles. I'm going to also share with you how to repair after conflicts, because that's one of the reasons why we don't go in a private life, but also in like in a professional life, we don't go into conflicts because we don't know how to get out of there, and get out of there in a way that we feel it was a beneficial one. Then I'm going to share with you how conflicts can actually build trust and unity, and how I also use conflicts with the teams and the leaders and executives I work. The conflict is the first one I will go with them fearlessly. And then I share with you a mind shift of reframing conflict. Like I said, this is going to be let's say, a reframing. Once you've seen it, you can't unsee it. So it's kind of a cool way to look at a new way to look at conflict. So stay until the end, so you will see that as well. All right, this model is not from me. It's from it's a widely known conflict model by Thomas Kilmann, and I gave it a bit more funky names. And what you basically have is 2 axes: cooperativeness and assertiveness. All right. Those 2 axes then are there to help look at, like, where in the 5 kind of quadrants are you, or are you somewhere in the middle? The idea, of course, is to have high cooperativeness and high assertiveness, which then build kind of, you are in the collaboration angle there at the upright corner. You are the builder. You are the person who can both collaborate with others, bring everybody on board, but also assert themselves and assert views if needed. On the very other end, you have the ghost. Low assertiveness, low cooperativeness, wants to run away and disappear and hope that also the conflict disappears. But it won't. When you go then from that to then upwards, somebody who has low cooperativeness but high level of assertiveness is then the bulldozer, who's competing there and runs over others, and maybe has one of the reasons why they don't want to enter conflicts is that they might know that I'm not really good at it. I've received feedback that I make others feel uncomfortable, so they might also therefore avoid it. And then if you go to the other direction, the pleaser is then the ones who have high cooperativeness but low assertiveness. So they try to accommodate everybody's views and ideas and perspectives, and just please everyone around it. And in the middle is this kind of like a splitter or harmony creator, a compromiser, who tries to always kind of like let's find a compromise, and that's also not always the right way to find a compromise. So the 5 conflict styles, I've made a post, and I will add it to my lounge, the PDF of these 5 different um, uh, conflict styles. And there is more details of how do they react, what's the pros and cons of each of the style. But the idea is that everybody gets to really clear about what is my style, and do I need to increase assertiveness or cooperativeness, and how do I get to the place where I'm more building. And yeah, sometimes I need to move into to more higher assertiveness, and but not go into bulldozing as well, because that will then not help people build trust. Any questions? Feel free to drop me something. Perfect. Then I will talk about trust-based conflicts. Hold on, there's a question. Before I go to the trust-based conflicts, Katarina, how can a leader identify when a conflict is becoming destructive, and quickly redirect it toward a trust-building opportunity? Yeah, and I think this is a really good point. Last week we talked about emotional intelligence, and you need to have a really strong emotional intelligence, and that's something you can build in order to start to sense in yourself first that this kind of like, what am I sensing? Am I feeling that this conflict is going to the right direction? Are we sharing the same goal? Is it safe to have this conflict? And also, are we kind of holding each other up to the right standards in a way? So first of all, a leader needs to feel in themselves, which of these am I now being? Am I bulldozing? Am I trying to ghost? Am I avoiding? Am I trying to compromise? Or are we all as a team in the collaborating, as the builders? And that level of self-assessment is really important, before a leader can then also assess others and say, who is here the bulldozer? And how do I get them to be a builder? The last one, which is about the repair and the conflicts that build trust, there I will show you the kind of 3 key areas that I help teams to build related to that. All right, then let's move forward. We can challenge without fear. So trust-based conflicts are based on 3 things: safety in conflicts, shared purpose, and mutually owned. In contradiction, conflicts that are not trust-based are not safe. They don't have shared purpose. They have personal agendas, and they are not mutually owned. Everybody's there for themselves, and that's why some people don't even choose to show up and withdraw. So in order to get to a place where you have a safety in conflicts, you'll need to normalize conflicts and say this is part of us being together and working together. If we are agreeing too fast, we're missing something. Focusing on the growth and saying, let's break this down. What can we improve? And say there's the conflict will help us grow both as a team, but also innovate. And then curiosity. You create safety by staying curious and understanding, help me to understand your perspective instead of staying kind of insisting yourself to be heard. So that's the first thing. How do you build safety as in conflicts? The second one is shared purpose. How do you ensure that everybody in that conflict has the same goal? Do we how do we help ourselves to win in this? The rules. How do we debate with each other? And then also the ego check. Is this now about being right or finding the right and the best solution for this goal that we have? And the last one is mutually owned. And this is almost like the how. So, how do we make sure that about the way the team does conflicts, we continue providing feedback to each other? We address behaviors and reactions that are going to take us away from a trust based conflict. We kind of pull the people who are avoiding to the conversation and also topics we are avoiding. We will ask, so what are the tough conversations we are putting off and not daring to address? And then the standard where we say, you know what, this is the new standard. This is the new golden standard of conflicts. And we all are going to hold each other accountable. And you as a leader can say, you know what, tell me when I'm breaking these rules. Remind me about these rules so I can be a lot more aware. So, trust based conflicts is definitely a key turning point for a lot of the teams that I've been working with. And often they don't see this kind of side of what a conflict can build. Because remember, it's many see it as a more of a hostile type of a reaction. Then there are three questions that I use to then connected to this that are helpful to repair conflicts. So, as much as you want to lead teams safely into a conflict, this can be a 5-minute thing at the end of the conflict. Or perhaps if you feel, you know what, we need to take a pause and we want to continue the next day, you can start with that. How safe did we feel in conflict? So that people not only learn to have a great conflict and good, constructive, safe conflict, but they can also express, hey, in this conflict, I felt safe, or in this conflict, I hesitated. And then you can look at it from a growth and curiosity perspective. How can we make it even more safe for everyone in the team? The second part is shared purpose. So what purpose did the conflict serve? Just rechecking, was it about personal ego agendas, or did we have actually a goal to improve something or not? So that is a second question. What was the goal, and kind of like how did we improve it? And the last one is how did we hold each other accountable? Did we observe behaviors in the conflict that were not up to par and we called it out? Did we kind of bring people who we saw maybe withdrawing to the conversation? Did we share topics that then and address topics that otherwise we might have wanted to kind of shy away from? Now I realize that the extra laptop that I connected is running out of power, so I need to quickly run to get that. All right. I'll let you read this. I'm gonna just get a power cable for my laptop. Apologies for that. Multitasking. Very good. Now I'm plugged in. So, as you can understand, that when you do then conflicts in this way, when you do conflicts in this way, it builds trust and unity. Honestly, I've seen teams transform when they have moved into trust based conflicts. Secondly, they've become a lot more innovative. They've started to surface ideas, talk about topics they haven't ever before dared to express and share. They become a lot more productive as well. Because guess what? The energy that they've been penting up because of conflict, or after they have been expressing after a conflict that weren't repaired, they've been kind of molding over for a long time. Now all of that is being put into productive hours. So your operational cost, in a way, goes down because your efficiency goes up. And guess what? Out of this all, you'll get a sense of belonging. Teams feel like, hey, it's safe here. I can speak up. My are heard. Our leaders navigate conflicts in a totally different way than in any other company. I want to stay here. This feels cool, and I can be at my best. So that is the big benefit of building trust and unity. Kind of the gain of conflicts that build trust. Gonna see if there are some questions now. Rakesh, thank you for your comment here. I have found that if the leader in the organization is not spending time learning, that are biased, prejudiced, insecure, and they tend to gravitate towards arms of lovers rather than bold challenges. Yes, arms of lovers. I love that. How do I energize and awaken such a leader refusing to empower oneself with knowledge, relying on unpredictable emotional conflicts instead? How do I empower with? I love that question, Rakesh. Here's the thing. Last time, Rakesh, I had a session about humble leadership as well. One of my last lives was about, do leaders need to know all the answers? And sometimes leaders who feel that, yes, leaders need to know all the answers, and instead of probing the team and asking the team questions, are exactly those who love army of lovers, because they basically believe I need to know the answers, and I actually like when people will say yes instead of challenge me. So there's something around humble leadership that I would recommend you to look into. One of my recent Level Up lives was about that, so you will find it in the lounge if you want to visit there. But I think that's definitely, if we move from tell to ask as leaders, that we learn to kind of probe our teams to speak more and share ideas, rather than we feel that we as leaders are the ones who tell the answers and have the best ideas. That's going to help as well in the conflicts, because you don't go into the conflict. If you go as a leader to the conflict saying, I know what the right answer is and I'm going to solve this, you're basically just shutting down the conversation. You're not building trust. You're not enabling ideas to surface. You're not helping the team to develop if you go in and you just kind of shut down. Not you, but any leader. Hope this helps to answer that, perhaps with the kind of humble leadership and moving from tell to ask is a way to help those leaders who surround themselves with army of lovers rather than challengers. Great question. Before I go into this exercise that I wanted to share with you, kind of like a mind shift, what's next? February is going to be a lot about resilience. And how do you measure stress? How do you spot burnout? How do you build resilience? And how do leaders stop being superhumans? Or what's the cost of being a superhuman? So if you want, join me there. There's the link to my website, and you can register there and go to the lounge as well and see all the other events that I've run, and all these keynotes are also there. Oh, okay. Now we go to the actual exercise. So, conflicts sounds like this: fighting. And often the way we associate conflicts and the kind of like the starting point of the mind shift is it's a goal to win at someone else's expense, kind of being right, having a better idea. This is a lot of like, yes, but I know better. And this creates division, resentment, and defensiveness. It's a battle. It's there to destruct people, right? And people live weaker out of conflict. It's not stronger. They live bruised. They live hurt. And if this is what leaders avoid, if this is that leaders avoid because they feel like, well, let teams kind of like figure it out themselves. This is why I say conflict avoidant leaders are low performers, because this is going to take a lot of this kind of a fight approach to conflicts is going to take a lot of energy and focus from your best talent. Now here comes the kind of like a twitch. What if conflicts are not fighting? What if conflicts are forging? So, just like fights are about tension and friction and pressure and heat, when applied in the same way, in a different intent of building something stronger, you can create like a metal. You can start to move it forward and shape it and build it to something better. So the goal of forging is to refine, sharpen, and strengthen the team. The pressure with this intent makes the metal harder and into the shape and form where it's better and more fit for purpose. It creates clarity and trust and high performance within the team. Instead of fighting, which is about destruction, forging, when you help your teams to understand, I don't want us to fight here. I want us to forge towards a next level of us. It's really building that clarity and trust and high performance in your team to understand conflicts are there to help us go to the next level of ideas, next level of team trust, next level of our development. And then last one, people leave conflict better than before. They will leave feeling better, but also they have gotten, if you do the repair part in a lot better way, you will make them feel like, I learned something out of this, and I was able to express my experience in this conflict. So I really invite you to think through and share with your teams about this. Are we fighting or are we forging? Are we destructing or are we strengthening? And this analogy, trust me, has worked and helped me to help a lot of leaders and teams to really kind of reframe and rewire their relationship to conflicts and start building trust-based conflicts, which is all about forging, not fighting. Let me take some questions. I do tend to tell more than ask. I'm impatient. Very good. Rakesh, thank you for your honesty as well. That's where it all starts. And if you look at the humble, the the kind of tell approach is the first level, and the second level is the ask, and that will actually help you speed up when you do it well. So when your team becomes self-reliant, yeah, the sky is your limit. Then I will see another question related to here. Ankita, nice to have you again here as well. When our work is scrutinized on daily basis, there are too many seniors above us who are not discussing the matter but somehow reporting to boss. What to do as boss is listening all time complaints only towards me? So kind of like how to. What I understand, Ankita, from you is that that there's no positive messages going upwards. There's kind of like a scrutinized, biased version that goes all the way up, rather than a balanced overview. My recommendation for you is learn to inform. Here's the thing. A lot of people think that just working hard, put your head down and work hard is going to kind of get you noticed. No, it doesn't. Head up. Take part of your days and weeks' time to summarize. Here was my wins this week. Here are the ones, here are my challenges, and here are my learnings, and this is going to be my focus next week. And send it out. Share this with your leader, that this is your way of helping him or her to be updated and informed. And like this, you ensure that when you come at the month's end or year end, there is a balanced perspective of you, and not just a kind of a filtered negative perspective of your impact. And where to find this? Like said, you can find it in the Level Up Live Leaders Lounge, where all of these are there, and that's a place for you for free. You can go in there. Every month, I also there are challenges for those who didn't know. Every month, I will then choose a person who wins a challenge, and they will have a one-on-one with me. And I know already there are going to be 2 winners this time, because for the January challenge, there were 2 persons who answered, and they are going to win with me a one-on-one as a big thank you for being there and engaging in my little lounge community. So Katarina and Maria, watch out, something coming to your way. Thank you for watching. Really apologies for the technical problems. I hope you were able to still follow, and this was helpful for you. If you have any questions, happy to still stay to answer them. Here's one. As Ankita said, the glamoring builds around the problem instead of taking the hard road towards solution, which is often out of the box and something radically new. Yeah, and I think that's definitely kind of helping to focus on what is, instead of kind of building and rebuilding that toxic environment where we only finger point and blame people for their undoings. Us as leaders to understand that a lot of that is coming out of us not being able to handle the conflicts in a great way, so that instead of blaming others for not doing things, how can we as leaders go to our teams and have the conflict, have the tough conversation in a trust building way, and solve it, rather than blame to our superiors that the team is not doing what is expected to do. Lovely. And then I'm just checking out what. Thank you. Thank you, Katarina, as well for joining, and Greg as well. I saw you joined. Thank you. Next week, as said, we're gonna tackle being a superhuman and why it's not worth it. why there's a lot better things to do in life than trying to be everything to everyone. Wish you a wonderful weekend and see you next week.